Nobody is coming to pick you. No one is scanning a crowd of 1 million people, looking for you specifically, ready to hand you the life you've been dreaming about. No coach is going to find you in the gym and say you're the one. No boss is going to walk past your desk and suddenly see your potential. No stranger is going to discover your talent and build your future for you. That might sound cold. It's not. It's the most freeing sentence you'll hear this year, because if nobody is coming to choose you, that means nobody has to. It means the decision was never in their hands to begin with. It means you were never actually waiting on permission. You were just waiting. Most people spend their whole lives standing at the edge of their own life, waiting to be picked. Picked by a company, picked by a partner, picked by an audience, picked by a mentor who was supposed to show up and never did. And while they wait, years pass, decades pass, and the picking never comes because there was never anyone doing the picking. There's just you standing there and a door that was unlocked the entire time. Today, I'm going to walk you through 8 brutal truths about what it actually means to stop waiting to be chosen and start choosing yourself. Stay with me, because by the end of this, you're either going to be uncomfortable enough to change or comfortable enough to keep waiting. That choice is yours. Let's get into it. Number 1. The myth of the right moment. Most people are waiting for a moment that will never arrive. They're waiting to feel ready, waiting for the timing to line up, waiting for the fear to go away before they finally take the leap. Here's the truth. The moment doesn't arrive. You arrive at the moment. Think about every time you've said, "I'll start when things settle down." When things settle down, they don't hand you courage. They hand you comfort, and comfort has never once produced a breakthrough. The people who are living the life you want didn't wait for the noise to stop. They moved while the noise was still there. They built while things were still messy, still uncertain, still scary. You keep telling yourself you're being responsible by waiting, but waiting isn't responsibility. It's disguise. It's fear wearing a patient face. And the longer you wear that mask, the more you start to believe it's who you actually are. Ask yourself right now, what have you been waiting to feel ready for? A month? A year? 5 years? If the answer is yes, you already know the moment was never coming, because it was never a moment. It was a decision. And decisions don't need permission. They need you to stop negotiating with your own fear. So here's what you do. Stop waiting for the green light. There is no light. There's only you, standing at the intersection, deciding whether to walk. Number 2. Nobody is building your life while you sleep. Somewhere along the way, a lot of people started believing that if they just worked hard enough at their job, stayed loyal enough, kept their head down long enough, someone above them would notice and reward them for it. Sometimes that happens. Most of the time it doesn't. Not because the world is unfair, though sometimes it is, but because nobody is tracking your effort the way you are. Nobody wakes up thinking about how hard you worked yesterday. Nobody is quietly building a file of your sacrifices, waiting for the perfect moment to cash it in on your behalf. You are the only person keeping score. And if you're the only one keeping score, you have to be the one who acts on it. This is where most people get stuck in silent resentment. They wait for recognition that isn't coming, and instead of adjusting their strategy, they just work harder at the same invisible job, hoping the invisibility will eventually wear off. It won't. Invisibility doesn't wear off from more effort. It wears off from more visibility, from decisions, from action, from putting yourself somewhere you can actually be seen and choosing yourself before anyone else does. The people who build extraordinary lives figured this out early. Nobody is building it for you while you sleep. Nobody is quietly assembling your future in the background. If you want a different life, you have to be the one constructing it, brick by brick, in full view of your own effort, not someone else's memory of it. So stop waiting to be noticed. Start building something that can't be ignored. Number 3. Discipline doesn't ask for applause. Motivation shows up loud and leaves quietly. It's there when you first set the goal, when the idea feels exciting, when everyone's cheering you on in the beginning. And then, a few weeks later, it's gone, and you're left standing there wondering why you don't feel like doing the thing you were so excited about a month ago. That's not a personal failure. That's just what motivation does. It was never built to last. It's a spark, not a fuel source. Discipline is different. Discipline doesn't care how you feel. It doesn't check in on your mood before it shows up. It doesn't need applause, encouragement, or an audience. Discipline just does the next right thing, over and over, whether anyone is watching or not, whether you feel like it or not. Most people quit right at the exact point where discipline was supposed to take over from motivation. They mistake the fading of excitement for the failure of the goal. It's not the goal that failed. It's the reliance on a feeling that was never designed to carry you the whole way. If you want to build something real, stop asking, "Do I feel like doing this today?" That question is a trap. Ask instead, "Does this move me forward?" If the answer is yes, you do it. Feeling or no feeling, applause or no applause. That's the entire difference between people who finish and people who quit at the first plateau. Number 4. You were never actually waiting for permission. Here's something uncomfortable. Most people who say they're waiting for the right time are actually waiting for someone to give them permission to try. Permission from a parent, permission from a partner, permission from a boss, a mentor, a stranger on the internet, whose opinion somehow outweighs their own. But permission was never something that could be handed to you. It's not a physical object. It's not a key someone else is holding. It's a decision that lives entirely inside your own head. And the only person qualified to make it is you. Think about how many dreams have quietly died in the space between, "I want to do this," and, "But what if they don't approve?" That gap, that hesitation, has killed more potential than failure ever has. Failure at least teaches you something. Waiting for approval that never comes teaches you nothing except how to stay small. The people who go on to build extraordinary things stopped asking for permission long before they had proof they'd succeed. They gave themselves permission first and let the results argue their case later, not the other way around. So stop waiting for someone to tell you it's okay to want more. Nobody's going to hand you that sentence. You have to say it to yourself, and then you have to act like you meant it. Number 5. Silence is not the same. As being alone, there's a difference between being alone and working in silence, and most people confuse the two. Being alone is what happens when nobody is around. Working in silence is a choice, a decision to stop broadcasting every step of your progress. Stop explaining yourself to people who weren't going to understand anyway, and just focus quietly on becoming who you're trying to become. Silence protects your energy. Every time you announce a goal before you've done the work, you spend a little bit of the motivation that was supposed to fuel the actual doing. You get a small hit of social approval for the intention, and your brain, mistakenly, treats that approval like it was the accomplishment itself. So the drive fades before the work even starts. Working in silence flips that. You get the applause up front. You don't get the comments, the encouragement, the good for you. You just get the work, and the quiet, private satisfaction of knowing you're building something real, one unnoticed rep at a time. This is uncomfortable because we're wired to want to be seen. But here's the trade. The people who need to be seen while they're building usually stop building the moment nobody's watching. The people who learn to work in silence keep going no matter who's watching, because they were never doing it for the audience in the first place. So the next time you want to announce your plan, before you've made a single move toward it, don't. Do the work first. Let the results introduce you. Number 6. Comfort is the quietest thief you'll ever meet. Nobody wakes up and decides out loud to give up on their potential. Nobody sets a goal and then consciously says, "Actually, I've changed my mind. I'd rather stay exactly where I am forever." That's not how people lose their future. They lose it one comfortable decision at a time. It's the extra 20 minutes in bed instead of the workout, the show instead of the side project, the scroll instead of the study session. None of these choices feels like betrayal in the moment. They feel small, harmless, deserved even. But stack enough of them together, and one day you look up and realize the life you wanted quietly slipped away while you were making yourself comfortable. Comfort doesn't announce itself as the enemy. It shows up disguised as rest, as balance, as "I'll get to it tomorrow." And the cruel part is, tomorrow always offers the exact same deal. The people who break out of this pattern aren't the ones with more willpower than you. They're the ones who got honest about how much of their day was being spent on things that felt good in the moment but built nothing for the future. They didn't eliminate comfort completely. That's not sustainable, and nobody's asking you to live like a machine. But they stopped letting comfort make their decisions for them. Ask yourself, honestly, how much of your day is spent moving towards something, and how much is spent avoiding something uncomfortable? If you don't like the answer, that's not a reason to feel bad. That's information. Use it. Number 7. Nobody is coming to push you harder than you push yourself. You can have people who care about you, people who support you, encourage you, believe in you. That's real, and it matters. But even with all of that, nobody is going to push you harder than you're willing to push yourself. That job was never available to anyone else. It was always yours. This is where a lot of people get quietly stuck waiting for external pressure to do the work internal discipline was supposed to do. They think they need a coach standing over them, a deadline imposed by someone else, an audience keeping them accountable. And sometimes those tools help, but they were never meant to be the engine, just the scaffolding. Because here's what happens eventually. The coach isn't always there. The deadline gets moved. The audience gets distracted by something else. And in that moment, when there's no external pressure left, the only thing standing between you and quitting is whatever you built internally, in private, when nobody was checking. If you've been waiting for someone to demand more from you, stop. Demand it from yourself first. Set a standard so high that outside pressure becomes irrelevant, because you were already holding yourself to something greater than what anyone else would have asked of you. That's not about punishing yourself. It's about refusing to let your growth depend on someone else's schedule. Number 8, the work you do when no one is watching is the only work. That's real. This is the last one, and it's the one that ties everything else together. Everybody performs a little differently when they know they're being observed. That's human. But the real test of who you are and who you're becoming isn't what you do when there's an audience. It's what you do in the quiet hours, the early mornings nobody sees, the extra effort nobody will ever know about, the choice to keep going even though there's no applause waiting on the other side. That's where character gets built, not in the moments everyone can see, but in the thousands of small, invisible decisions nobody will ever witness or verify. You either show up for those moments or you don't. And over time, that pattern becomes who you are. Here's the good news buried inside all of this. If nobody is watching, that means nobody is judging either. You're free to fail without an audience keeping score, free to try things that might not work, free to build at your own pace, in your own way, without performing for anyone else's approval. Nobody is coming to check if you did the work today. That's not a punishment. That's the most honest freedom you'll ever be handed, because it means the only person you ever have to answer to is the one who has to live with the result. Closing. So, let's bring it all together. Nobody is coming to choose you, which means the choosing was always yours to do. Nobody is building your future while you sleep, which means you're the only one who can build it while you're awake. Motivation was never going to carry you the whole way, but discipline will, if you let it. Permission was never something someone else was holding. It was always sitting quietly in your own hands. Silence isn't loneliness, it's protection for the thing you're building. Comfort is the thief that never announces itself. So you have to go looking for it. Nobody will ever push you harder than you're willing to push yourself. So set that bar before anyone else gets the chance to set it lower for you. And the work you do when nobody's watching, that's the only work that was ever really yours. You've spent long enough waiting to be picked, waiting for permission, waiting for the right moment, the right person, the right sign. None of it was ever coming. Not because you don't deserve it, but because it was never anyone else's decision to make. So here's the only question left. Are you going to keep waiting for someone to choose you? Or are you finally going to choose yourself? Nobody is coming. That was always supposed to be good news. Now get to work.